Hi, Hi, I am Kedro on two wheels, and today is the day for the Kawasaki Vulcan S. So I am at Ramimoto, where they lent me this one for a whole day. Actually two, because I'm delivering this one on Monday and today's Saturday, so I'm going to be quite a while with this little baby. So without further ado, because I'm really keen to ride it, here's the front to back. Before the front to back, what is this? No, let's do front to back usually. 120 with tire, 17-inch rim at the front, 160 at the rear, so standard ones. Single disc brake with ABS, with fork protectors for the standard suspension. These are halogens, that's halogen, so there's no LEDs here, at the front at least. Has a very pretty front actually. Slightly shorter mud guards. There's the radiator, so it's liquid cooled. There's these little very pretty protections. Horn is down there, way down there. And this is a two-cylinder 650cc 61 horsepower engine with a rev limiter at say 10,000 RPM. So this is very close specs wise to the engine on the NC700, only it has way more revs. So it should be about as economical, should have somewhat similar performance, but always slightly higher because of extra revs. What I can see now here is that this is a very pretty bike. It's very detailed. Look at this little detail to evoke the air cooled, but it's not, it's water cooled. This is very pretty. Everything here is very precise. It's been very worked on, very machined. Everything is designed. I really like this detail on the Kawasaki's. This makes adjusting the suspension quick in a cinch. You have a very pretty swing arm at the rear, ABS at the rear with a single disc brake, nothing odd about it. You have this thing for the bobbins here. You have a beautiful, beautiful seat. Just looks absolutely fantastic. You have an LED tail light with halogen indicators on the sides. It is a very, very pretty bike, and I've just bumped into another bloke's bike, sorry. This is a very, very pretty bike. The only detail, right off the bat, I see that I don't like, that I do not like, is these mirrors. They are hideous. It really looks odd. The whole bike is beautiful, and then the mirrors are like, what's this rubber around here? Okay, granted, mirrors are easy to change, and I would change them in a heartbeat. But this is a very beautiful bike, and I can't wait to see how it rides. Let's start her up. Ooh, I like the sounds. Does sound like a proper chopper. Which, considering it is the same engine as the... Bye, Louise. You'll be sleeping here tonight. Which, considering it's the same engine as on the Versus, is quite surprising. I just did indicator to the wrong side because I was unsure where to go. Okay, riding position is just like a chopper. Feet front, just a rubber pipe where you put your ankles on and arms stretched forward, but it's not uncomfortable. So, ooh, it's very light. This is very, very unlike what I was expecting, and it is very, very like the CTX, the Honda CTX. Quite like the Honda CTX. Now I'm going to cut to a more touristy place, because this is what this bike is meant for. See you soon. So let's give her a bad pavement workout. See how that goes. Going right here, and I'm saying that because I already felt it on the highway that the suspension is pretty harsh. It's just about on its harder setting, so it's bumpy. Not uncomfortable, but I am bumping everywhere. Come on, man. Okay. There's one thing I love, which is this beautiful sound. Let's just listen to this. Ain't this absolutely fantastic? Now, I'm going to keep myself as stiff as I can. Just check this out, see? And these aren't really big bumps, this is just undulations on the pavement. And you can hear from my voice. So suspension is pretty stiff. I think it's the rear one. I think the rear one's at the... it's either on the harshest or on the second to last harshest. It's somewhere around that. And so I am flying over the bumps, basically. But it's not uncomfortable. It's a bit weird on the highway going the whole time, but it doesn't really hurt because the seat is awesome. The seat is really good, so it doesn't hurt my bum, but my head and my body doesn't quite stay still, so it will be tiresome. I'll try to adjust this at least 1 or 2 clicks down. Should be much better after that. Let's see. That's the advantage of having a bike for a whole day, is that I can figure out these tiny little details. But it is so nice to ride like this, slowly, at a good pace. Let's go into good pavement, I'm tired. And it's strong, it's spiffy. Indeed, the engine is what I was expecting, somewhat like the NC700, but with a bit more oomph for much longer. Meaning instant torque, or nearly instant torque, loads of torque, really low down, really easy. I have just scraped a foot peg. And that wasn't even that much. Yes, it is very easy to ride. That's the thing I got at the first bend. It is so easy to ride and lean and stay there still. It is very, very easy to turn. It's very light. The front is really light. But it doesn't give me a sense of being uncomfortable. Just making sure my pockets are closed, because if they're open, my stuff will fly out. Let's go left here. Try not to scrape the foot peg this time. Oh, it's damn nearly. Oh, it's very close to the ground now. So this won't lean all that much because the foot pegs are really low to the ground. If you like scraping, this is the bike for you. You will be scraping foot pegs very soon indeed. Just don't get scared by it. Whoops, I have to. And what a sound! I love it! But then again, talking performance on one of these bikes is a bit silly, because what these bikes are made for is this: casual cruising along a scenic road, enjoying the scenery, looking and being looked at. And for that, I have to say, this feels absolutely brilliant. Come on, 3 wides. Come on, you could have been more courteous than that. Seriously. But yeah, this is what the bike is for. Long, fun rides along a scenic road. No stress. Louise and that kind of bike, sports bikes, are meant to do this fast, aggressively. Balls to the walls kind of riding. This is a more sedate kind of ride. Although it does have the engine to get you out of trouble whenever you want. And I just love the way this corners. It doesn't feel at all like nearly all the other cruisers or choppers that I've been on, and where turning was kind of like trying to turn an oil tanker. You had to coax it into a turn, and that's fun by itself. Okay, that's just different. Okay, it's not a good handling, but it's fun. It is fun feeling such a huge thing turning the way you want it to. But not this. This is a lot like the CTX. It is properly good cornering. It's very light. It does what I want when I want it, not eventually. I want to go around this little patch. Let's go around. See? It does what I want quickly, effectively. It's a good handling cruiser. What the hell? You can hear from my voice. I'm really surprised, and I'm really enjoying this. Really, this is a really good one. I have been told this was a pretty good bike, so I was expecting to enjoy it. I just wasn't expecting this to be this nice. And I'm also very excited about this bike because of this. Say you're a guy that really likes choppers, so you got your little 125 to learn, you got, say, a Kiwi Superlight, like I did, or something like that, something cheap for a little 125, or maybe a Virago 250, an old Virago 250, something. But now you've got your full license and you want to buy a grown man's chopper, but you don't really like Harleys. They're too expensive, say. You don't have money for a Harley. It's way too much. It's the first big bike. You don't want to ruin the Harley, so you want something a bit more tame, a bit more cheap, a bit more down to earth. You don't have that. There isn't one, but now there is. Because you don't really have a middleweight chopper. You had the Honda CTX, but the Honda CTX has odd looks. Some people love it, some people hate it, so you might not want one. This has all the classical looks. It looks awesome. From anyone that looks at this bike will say, yeah, that's a good looking bike. So this is a universally good looking bike, mirrors notwithstanding, at a relatively cheap price, something like 8,000 euros. So it's as costly as my XJ6, as a normal 600cc bike. It's not overpriced. It's a regular price for a pretty good bike. And look, I even have a fuel consumption meter, which is giving me an average of 5 liters to 100 kilometers. So this uses as much fuel as my XJ6. So this is a standard middleweight bike that just happens to be a cruiser, and it looks awesome. And I really think it rides awesome. And sounds just about delicious with the stock exhaust. I wonder how this would sound with a performance exhaust. Probably absolutely delightful. Let's see if I can do one bend a bit faster. The next one. Oh, and it does have some relatively decent wind protection. Okay, there's not much force on my chest because this fat tank and that headlamp is directing a bit of air out, and this tiny little thing too. But well, it is about as much as you can expect from this kind of bike. It's not great, but it's not completely horrible either, okay? Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is a good one. Let's see how this is filtering. Why the handlebars make this a bit harder than it should be. So yeah, you can take this to work and filter, just not as easily, not as perfectly as a slightly thinner bike, but doable. Not perfect, but still doable. So this is what this bike is for. Casually cruising around, overtaking cars whenever I want to. Don't worry too much about this maneuver. I can see perfectly clear ahead. Not now. Let one pass and I go after the second one here. There we go. Enjoying the view. Nice and easy. And as I have showed, you can also go relatively fast on it. Look. Because it does turn well. Damn, it's windy. Just look at that sight. Awesome sauce. And now let's go for our test. Oh, what the hell is that car? We are going to go for our test track. No, guys, seriously. And this is just absolutely awesome. Cookie for the ones who comment the correct model of this car below. Absolutely spectacular. Oh shoot, sand. Most definitely not what I wanted on a bike I do not know. But it did get through that pretty well. About the suspension, I withdraw what I said earlier on the suspension being on the harshest setting. I've looked at it and I figured out what's happening. This is actually on the second softest setting, and I actually felt it doing a few faster bends coming here. The suspension is very soft and it's on a very soft setting. Thing is, it really doesn't have all that course to move. So since it's very small, the suspension, so the bike is low to the ground, that's why we jump over things, and it's a bit uncomfortable on bad pavement. Something to get used to. As I said, these bikes are not made for performance. They're made to see and be seen. That is quite... I'd really like to one day go up that little thing there. One day. But today is not that day. Today, we ride. That was scraping again. I was expecting to scrape, so I actually got my foot off the peg to let it bump. So, test track. Today we're going to do it downwards, and I'll do the Portuguese video going upwards for change. Let's just do it slightly differently from usual. I just have to overtake this guy, and I can start with me test track. So first test is going to be a full throttle one, which I have shown you a couple of times, but I'm going to show you again because, well, why not? "61 horsepower, but it is spiffy. It's like that, it's the middleweight. It is pretty much more than good enough for any kind of overtake you might care to do, without being completely over the top as a liter bike is. Okay, it's perfectly manageable even by beginners. And it corners beautifully. Riding position isn't really good for this. Well, it is a cruiser slash chopper, but the bike itself corners beautifully, stably, very stable, and easy to lean. Look, it's very easy to get her into the turn and to keep her there, and it doesn't move. Look at the dash when I do this turn here. I'm going to put one input, turn, and now notice as it doesn't move and I don't have to do any kind of corrections, nothing, just stays put, which is great. I love bikes that do this. Usually bikes that are more upright, naked ones, light naked bikes, you have to be constantly recorrecting your... Whoa, that was a big scrape. My foot scraped too. That's why I went wide. Wow. Low foot pegs, dudes. Low foot pegs. So yeah, this is not a performing bike. This is a comfortable riding bike. Can you have some fun with it? Yeah. You just can't overdo it because the pegs will scrape and your feet will scrape too. And you'll get scared. But this is basically what you can do with it. I can't believe I actually reached the limit of this one. Yeah, it's just about this leanage, which is enough for a spirited ride. It's enough to sort of keep up with faster bikes. Not enough to overtake them and leave them in the dust, but enough to just keep up with a faster bike in the twisties. Just not lose contact with it unless they go completely bonkers. But yeah, I really like the way this handles. Training, perhaps, because I don't hear, smell, or see fire. And so this is the Kawasaki Vulcan S. What a wonderful, wonderful machine. Not only it is a beautiful, beautiful cruiser, it actually handles. It's actually a bike you can use every day. It's not too expensive. It is that perfect middle ground, a usable cruiser for all day. I want just one bike and it needs to be a cruiser. Here you go. It just looks absolutely stunning. Rides really well. It's never superb performance-wise, but that's not the point. The point is being beautiful, having style, and showing off that style. And look, for example, the mirrors from here, they look good. Sorry. From this side, they look hideous. But from here, where spectators will be looking at you, they actually look pretty nice. So this is the whole essence of these bikes. It's just style, and it does have quite a lot of style. And then underneath all that style, it's actually a pretty good bike. Granted, the foot pegs are too low and you scrape if you do the turn too fast, a turn which this bike could do much faster. Okay, I think I scraped with quite a lot of tire left to go. But that's the point. This is not a performance bike. That's not the point. The point, it is a nice bike to cruise. Right. Sorry about that. I kinda ran out of battery. And then to make matters worse, my next film, I managed to screw up with the microphone so there's no sound. So, as I was saying, last thoughts on this. This is the middleweight casual cruiser that will actually work. It is a pretty good bike underneath this whole cruiser style. Looks great, rides great. It's not a super performing bike, but it is that happy median between a properly performing bike, a properly commuter bike, a cruiser, and it's a bit of everything, so it'll do. It'll do very nicely indeed. Pretty happy with it, pretty surprised at how good it is. And yeah, that's it. Page, you're out. I wonder who this is. SJ400 white necks and the Yamaha FC6R.